You know.
Nice. Well, we're doing an interview. Doing an
Yes,
interview
sir.
about you.
It's a little bit
About you
strange,
and
but
your forthcoming. Yeah. Are you sinking into it? Or is it like sinking in?
yeah. I mean, it's an odd feeling, man, for sure. And it's a little bit different now, obviously, because as we're starting to make this push, because it's been there for a while. It's been pressed for a little bit. It's been sitting here for a while, where I'm kind of, I've had the opportunity to listen to the thing front and back too many times.
Right.
And I don't have as many nerves about it anymore. Where it's actually, I got a little bit anxious about it because I was just like, oh man, I'm letting this sit for too long, and I actually feel a little better now because I feel like at the time I was just very hyped up. You get really antsy about it, and you get very emotional about it. You're sending out emails to people, and you're getting upset. And, like you're very emotionally attached to it. And I still am, but it's been out long enough now, and I've got to just sort of I've let it's been able to breathe a little bit, so that's been good. So I feel pretty good about it now. For
Yeah,
sure.
that is good. Like hearing you talk about that, I feel like with any creative work, like immediately after you're finished with it, it's almost like a gel, and you have to give it time to let it solidify. And the thing is, it's only solidifying for you or the people who are involved because other people haven't even heard it, so it's like allowing yourself to get that distance.
Yeah, man, and it's very tough, because in the past, anything I've done in the past, I've just kind of just gone ahead and just thrown it out there. I haven't given it any kind of time to even let it solidify, kind of, as you mentioned, where this time I've had to fight my own, urges to just kind of, all right, I need people to hear this kind of thing. And it's like, look, it needs to breathe for a little bit. I need to let it kind of, run its course, figure all these things out first. No one's heard it anyway, because then, in your head, you're going, it's ready. They need to hear it. They need to hear it. They need to hear it. And look, like, it doesn't matter if it's a year or if it's 2 weeks afterwards. For them, it's brand new no matter what. So I've had to kind of remind myself of that.
Well, so we're talking right now, we're already talking about your new record, but I want to hear about how you first started playing music. Like, we got to go back to when did you start playing music? What sparked the interest? Like, how long have you been playing? All this kind of stuff.
Okay. Kind of unconventional, I think, in that, I never played an instrument in the band in elementary school. So outside of, I think, the recorder in the third grade, I didn't play an instrument. I wanted to play drums. In my family, we just didn't have enough money, so I just wasn't able to get into it. I was just sort of pushed towards like, hey, go play baseball. We don't gotta buy a drum kit, or we don't have to pay for this stuff. Never played an instrument all through, elementary school, and didn't even play into high school. And I was always really into music. I'm from a family of music appreciators, but like my mom loves music, but she can't sing to save her life. And my dad was kind of the same way, where he could hold a tune, and he was just, he's a deadhead. He was a big Zappa guy, and he got me into a lot of, classic rock music, obviously, and a lot of Americana stuff, a lot of old country music and things like that. I got from him for sure. But they weren't musical people, and it wasn't like, there were guitars laying around the house or a piano or anything like that. We had an old organ, and it's out there, and it didn't work. Like an old organ was like the old Lowry, the old drum machine, like one of the original drum machines in it, and the thing probably weighed 2 tons, and it sat there not functioning, not even working. It just sat in the house basically for something to put pictures on top of. But other than that, we just didn't really have it in the house. So like I said, I appreciated music, but I didn't pick it up I didn't pick up a guitar until I was a senior in high school, and I had a guitar class, and I was horrible. I was just playing single note song. I was doing like the riff to like Redemption Song or something, or something silly.
Jingle bells.
Basically, single note stuff like that, man. And God, I think I went and like my girlfriend at the time bought me like a Epiphone Les Paul Jr. or something like that, and like a little 10-watt Gorilla amp or something. And I took that off to college and I banged around on that. But even then, I didn't play that for a while. And it wasn't until I was probably a sophomore in college that I got my first acoustic that I actually figured out, like, sat and learned how to figure out chords and things like that. And from there it was as soon as I could get any sort of semblance of three chords or four chords together, I was writing songs, because I was always writing all through middle school and high school. And then as soon as I had the opportunity, I was like, okay, now I have a vehicle as even as basic as it could be, I finally have a vehicle now to kind of, write these songs. And then I just started playing open mics and things like that, and, took off from there. So
That's
a little
great.
bit, yeah, a little bit backwards. I know a lot of times you talk to people, and I don't know about you, but I'm assuming you probably started playing at a younger age. Everyone I've ever met is like, yeah, I started playing when I was 10 years old, and I played piano first, and this and that. And I have no musical background whatsoever, and it's very frustrating for people, because I think they try and explain stuff to me, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Just show me what you're doing. I kind of figure it out, but like musical theory and things like that, man, I don't have it. So, but I make do with what I have for sure.
Yeah, they said that John Lennon couldn't read music, so I don't think it makes much of a difference. But that's so you started. Your ex-girlfriend bought you an electric guitar, but you ended up gravitating to the acoustic guitar, which it seems like you play mostly now.
Yeah, I mean, I love playing electric guitar, man. I like getting loud and doing that, and I feel like there's a time and a place for it. But just, especially with as much as I play solo, and as much as how these songs have all kind of, how they start just in the writing process, acoustic just, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just easier,
right?
For me at least. If rarely do I write something on the electric guitar. I might write it on acoustic, and I know right away, like, okay, this is for electric. But I mean, I also don't really write songs with like riffs or anything like that in mind first. There's only maybe one song on the record where that happened, where, like I played a guitar line and said, okay, this is what the song itself is going to build around. Almost always it's something where, I've already written the lyrics, and I'm just sitting down and I'm kind of piecing together chords and and some melodies to kind of flesh out the lyrics themselves. So the acoustic has always just sort of treated me better for that. But
right.
Yeah.
It's good for starting with the chords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I go back and forth where I want to sit and just play the electric more. But like I mentioned, just with I tend to play so many shows solo. It doesn't happen near as much. Not to mention, man, once you start having kids and things, it gets a little bit harder to plug in your amp in the house and get nice and loud. I had an AC30, and I got tired of lugging that thing around, and I obviously couldn't turn that thing up very much. Had to downgrade to the Blues Junior. It wasn't being utilized as much as I would have liked for it to be.
But still, the Blues Junior still sounds good. You just have to mic it.
Yeah. I mean, it can still get really loud. It gets as loud as anything I possibly need. I don't have to worry about lugging an AC30 up, 2 flights of stairs. I think we did that in Nashville, man. I think we lugged an AC30 up to Soulshine.
Oh yeah. Way back when.
Yeah, way back when, and felt like it was about 300 pounds.
Like 6 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you're playing solo now, but you started as Orwin Orioles.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I was doing solo stuff, just smaller things, but when it became time to really start playing out and playing around Wilmington, and then, which is where Orwin Orioles started, Wilmington, North Carolina. And when it came time to start touring and things, it came out of kind of this partnership between obviously my old housemate, Cameron Weeks,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal drummer, interesting character, we'll say, where he had heard all these songs just kind of as solo songs or as acoustic songs for a long time, and he knew that a lot of those songs were meant to be electric and were meant to be, with a band, and he kind of pulled that out of me for sure, where that was an interesting thing because on record, the EP we did, the 3-song EP we did as Aura and Orioles is not that loud for sure. It's kind of a quieter thing.
Mm-hmm.
But live, it was interesting to be able to take all these quiet songs, these kind of singer-songwriter songs, and turn them into basically that, as a 2-piece, doing electric guitar and just loud drums. It lends itself to really changing those songs, making them a completely different thing, than they had been, or just it lends itself to just writing completely different things. Where all of a sudden I was kind of known in Wilmington as this kind of quieter singer-songwriter who could get pretty loud singing, but for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of quieter finger picking and things like that. To all of a sudden we're playing and it's the Black Keys, it's White Stripes, it's this garage rock kind of bluesy foot stomping sort of thing all of a sudden, which is something that I'd always wanted to do, but it just, my toolbox as a guitarist or, as an instrumentalist, just, it didn't have that in it. And then all of a sudden, having someone like Cameron on drums, it kind of brought it out. And, a couple of those songs that first got workshopped with you, Orioles live, actually made the record, this new record. So
I was about to say that because I want to talk more about the new record in a bit, but there's definitely that blues foot stomping influence on a couple of songs.
Yeah, man, for sure. I think if listening to the record, or if you had a chance to listen to the record, you could probably pick out the songs that were coming from that period for sure. It kind of becomes a little bit obvious, I think. But then, the record itself has songs that some of them are upwards of, 2019? Upwards of 10 years old on them, actually. There's ones that are 2 and 3 weeks old at the time of recording, and there are ones that are almost 10 years old, so.
Yeah. So would you say that JB Boxter existed before Orwin Orioles?
Do you mean just me as a solo artist, just as far
as
as
a solo,
the artist?
Obviously, John existed, but as a solo artist, was that always going on in the background, or is this more of an evolution out of Orwin Orioles? How do you see it?
I think it's. I think I was a solo artist before, but not in any sort of driven way. If it wasn't for the Orioles, I would have been content just writing songs in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they would have ever become something that would have been tangible that that other people were listening to. I don't think shows, big shows would have ever been played. I don't think instrumentally, as far as with the instrumentation, I don't think it would have been expanded. The scope of it would have never kind of reached the level that it has. I want to be sitting here having a conversation with you about a record, that I made. At least in my mind, I don't think so. Maybe somehow it would have happened with SoundCloud and Bandcamp and all that kind of stuff. I would have just been one of those people basically sitting in my bedroom, recording stuff with GarageBand or something, and then putting it out, or doing super stripped down just acoustic EPs and stuff. And I think the Orioles kind of lit a fire under me for sure. For better or for worse, I could, I was able to kind of see with that, with that band, with that project, I was able to kind of go, okay, this is something here, with a full band, with all this behind me, with this tangible kind of piece of art that we made. It's like, okay, I can keep rolling with this. And I think that kind of really pushed me and made me feel comfortable to kind of go out under that JB Boxter, under that kind of stage name, and go out and, produce more music for sure.
Right. So how do you describe your music?
The term we use, and it's kind of evolved a little bit. For a long time, friends of mine would call it Americana soul, and then from there it's kind of morphed into what we call anthracite soul, as in anthracite coal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, kind of. I think that's a hat tip a little bit to Mr. Turchi and the Kudzu Boogie a little bit, where you have something where you've got enough kind of genres and stuff getting mixed in, but you also want to kind of acknowledge the region you're from, kind of some of the cultural influences, especially for this record,
Right.
of the Pennsylvania kind of coal region. So that's how we're describing it. Anthracite soul, where it's Americana based, it's folk based, it's got blues, it's got rock, it's got some country elements to it, but then it's got a bit of a kind of a soul element to it, some of that blue-eyed soul to it.
I was just about to say, listening to a couple of the songs, I hear a bit of Ryan Adams in there.
Oh, for sure, man. For better or for worse, with everything that is going on with him right now in the news, it's interesting because I've been trying to work through, and it's been happening a lot here lately, the idea of somehow, if it's possible to separate the person, if they're bad people, from the music they create, where it's kind of coming out here, and I'm sure you've been following. I'm sure you've kind of read some of the stories here with Ryan Adams and everything that's coming out, and in Rolling Stone and everything with him and all the women and him being emotionally abusive, and which is not really, I don't think that big of a surprise about him. He was always kind of seen as a bit of a jerk, but musically, songwriting wise, for sure, absolutely 100%. I can definitely say that he's been an influence, just an absolute fantastic writer. But like I said, I've been in this kind of stage of trying to work my way through whether or not it's okay for me to still like his music and just hate him and condemn him as a man.
Right.
So.
Well, how about any other influences like that you would be proud to associate yourself with?
For this record, and just in general, obviously one of the big ones that always comes up, that I always bring up, and I think I already sort of mentioned it to you, with coming from a music appreciative household, not necessarily musicians. Again, I think I said my dad was a Deadhead, so I grew up on the Grateful Dead. That was my band. That's still one of those bands where all the different influences on the record are things you can pull from different eras of that band. And everything I know about classic country music realistically came from Bob Weir, cowboy songs. From there, it was kind of the nexus for where I can kind of start going down different rabbit holes based off of things, that I heard from them, covers I heard from them, from musical styles that they kind of tackled. So for sure, a really big, I think, Dead influence. Songwriter wise, I've always been a huge Buckley fan. Jeff Buckley, obviously can't sing quite as well as him, but I had this conversation with someone else where I don't have a deep, dark, kind of raspy, gravelly voice, which I think sometimes with the kind of style of music I play is something that's kind of expected from people. And hearing Buckley when I was younger, I thought, oh my goodness, it's okay for me to want to sing higher and have kind of softer voice, to want to sing pretty, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure, a big influence there. Vocally, a lot from Jim James from My Morning Jacket.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if I've had a lot of people kind of point in that direction. Again, same idea, where it's okay to get a little bit froggy sometimes, and it's okay to enjoy reverb a little bit on your vocals, and have that kind of smoother, higher vocal. But yeah, I mean, I could sit here and go over dozens and dozens of people, but for the record, for sure, those are big ones.
Yeah. And so, just to reiterate, this new record's called Shenandoah, and you were already talking a bit about this, but it seems to be so influenced by geography or place. Like, I think at least 2, if not 3 song names or places. Obviously, the title of the album, Shenandoah. Like, can you tell us a bit more about that?
I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with me being a history or geography teacher. I'm sure that's sort of part of it, just being kind of that sort of being in the back of your head. But also a lot of it comes from, I started writing the record, or there are songs on the record, as I mentioned, that are upwards of almost, somewhere between 9 and 10 years old. And that coincides with my father passed away. My dad passed away at the end of 2009. And,
I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely okay, man. Thank you for saying that. He and I had an okay relationship. It wasn't fantastic, And I had just moved to North Carolina from Pennsylvania, from the Anthracite Coal region, from Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. And I think a lot of those songs that came out at that time, I thought I was writing songs specifically for him, and that was my way of sort of grieving. And then when you're able to pull out, and over the course of 6, 7, 8 years, when you're writing more and more songs, you start going, okay, they're not necessarily about him as much as they're about that place, right? And I still try and figure out, I still try and wrap my head around it, where it's not, like, as soon as he passed away, within the course of probably about 2 or 3 months, I had written probably 15 songs, and I had these plans that I was going to put out this record that was a concept record. It was all about his life. Like, like each song was a different thing, like working its way through his life. And that was sort of how I was grieving with it. And then as some of those, as that got kind of scrapped, and as some of those songs fell away and other ones got added and everything, like I said, what I picked up there, the narrative was okay, this isn't necessarily about him as much as it's about this place, which has him in it, and then also kind of connects to the fact that, like I left that place, and I don't know if there was a sense of almost like I felt guilty about leaving, because he reached out to me right before he passed away, and I was in North Carolina, and we weren't really talking. So I don't know if it was kind of a sense of almost like embarrassment of like, all right, you abandoned this place. I don't know if it's a sense of, especially more as, my son being born 2.5, almost 3 years ago, and if it was a sense of wanting to show him that place, give him a piece of that place, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to kind of say it. I don't know if it was kind of a sense of trying to present this place to him through this lens of like, my childhood, because he wasn't going to get the chance to kind of, to meet his grandfather. So it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to write these songs. I'm going to show you this place through these songs, how I remember them. And it's something that, even now and now having months and months and months of having the record and being able to kind of listen through it, every time you listen to it, you go, okay, well, maybe it's a little bit more about this. Maybe it's a little bit more about this. And it's something that every day I'm still trying to kind of figure out. But, I think those are huge parts of it. And I think also just it's a political thing as well, just because of everything, that we're kind of living through right now, because that region of Pennsylvania was one of the biggest reasons that Pennsylvania flipped to a red state in 2016. It's one of those forgotten areas, and it's one of those areas where I tell people all the time, especially people that aren't from that area, when people ask about it, I kind of say, like, that's the people there are the reason that Donald Trump is president. They're these forgotten people, and it's this forgotten place that's kind of down on its luck, that's sort of stripped of hope. And it was important for me almost to kind of try and sort of give those people a voice, because everything that comes out about them right now tends to be very negative. And again, I think it's sort of I think it was kind of, in a way, on top of everything I already mentioned, I think it was a little bit of me trying to kind of romanticize it, and kind of tell the story for them rather than letting all these outsiders kind of do it for them, or, just portray them in a very negative way. As I wrote it, I was really worried, and even as I was getting close to recording it, I was really worried that I was making the place look bad. That I was kind of painting it in a super negative light of like, the place is falling apart. There's no jobs here anymore. Everyone's leaving. Everyone's dying here. It's a falling apart area. And the few people that have heard the record have kind of said, "Oh no, man, it's beautiful. You're actually making it sound really nice." Kind of in this loving sort of way of like, it has its issues and its problems, but you seem to be approaching it from a loving way, which is fantastic. That made me feel so much better, because I definitely had a lot of anxiety about that.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing you describe this and like go into it, it's really beautiful just hearing your description. And so the first single, the one you released, is Amen, which is the last song on the record. Any reason or, thoughts for why that was the first one you wanted to release? And is there something special about that song?
I went against everyone's best judgment on that, and I don't want to call it the first single for sure, because all I've sort of done is I put it out there for people, and as you may know, like, I went on and I released that song on the anniversary of my dad passing, because I thought it was very fitting, with it being the closing track on the record, with it being the only acoustic track on the record. And then on top of that, also just the general narrative of the song. I thought it was a really fitting thing to do on that day, and people have been really, really, really positive in their responses to it. So I just sort of left it up. It was supposed to be a one-day thing, where it was kind of like, I'm going to put this up for one day and just kind of give people kind of a sneak peek of the record. I don't want to give away too much here, and since this is solo and acoustic, like, I won't give too much away for the record. But people have kind of really latched onto it. They seem to really enjoy it. And I think I wasn't expecting it to sort of sum up the record. That really wasn't the plan until we got into the studio, and Reed, who produced the record, he kind of said, that should be the last song on the record. And it was the last song recorded even. Like it just happened to work out that way, where we recorded all day and we did the full band thing, and we finished, and it got to that point where it was like, all right, do you want to do a solo tune? I said, yep. He said, you should try Amen. I said, okay. We went in and I played through it once. I said, okay, let's change the mics up here a little bit and everything. And then I played it again, and that was it. And that's what that song is. That's what ended up on the record. And I thought that was very fitting. Yeah.
Second take, man. That was
it. I mean, just that time with the acoustic and just, grip it and rip it. He just went for it, and it turned out nice, man. And it was just, like I said, I think it's very fitting for the record. Not just the lyrical narrative of it, but even the production of it, really.
Yeah, I really like the song. It sounds great. What is Redneck Chic?
What is Redneck Chic? That's
For folks who
question.
don't know it, John says that in his song Amen.
Yeah. So as the line goes, it says, you may paint yourself redneck chic. You never worked an honest day with your ivory degree. I'm sitting here actually trying to think about what I think it actually means, because at the time it was less about me having a perfect understanding of what redneck chic was, as much as it just popped into my head as I had this image of this person, of this it very well, I'm pretty positive it's me, you know, where, you have this person who grows up kind of in the sticks, who grows up in the middle of nowhere in this very rural kind of area around this community, and we'll say Shenandoah, or we'll say Schuylkill County, we'll say Andrewsite Coal Mining Region, Pennsylvania, and they leave, right? And they go off to college and get a 4-year degree, you know, fancy degree or whatever it is, and then they leave. Wherever they end up, whether it's LA or Chicago or North Carolina like me, and people ask about it, you play down, or next time you play down, you play up where you're from. You're this metropolitan, learned person, but you're from the country, right? You know, you're this kind of dichotomy where you're getting both things, and you really lean into it. Where I kind of always prided myself as being like, you know, I'm not a city boy. I'm not walking around spitting tobacco or anything like that. But sort of like, look, I'm from the country. I don't have the accent to prove it, but that's where I'm from. You know, my dad's a carpenter, and my mom sold Long Johns when I was a kid. I'm from the mountains and stuff. But then if someone asked me to, you know, help them change an engine out of a truck or something like that, I had no idea how to do that. My dad was a carpenter, and I can do basic carpentry, but I can't build a house. I'm not a roofer. You know, where you kind of lack that. It's all for show a little bit. And I think I had a couple other people in mind too, but that's funny, man, because I don't think I've ever actually really thought about that line as far as what it really, really, really means. I think that makes sense though.
Yeah. Yep. So you referenced already the recording process. I believe you went to Nashville, and a friend of ours and blues guitarist, musician, Reed Turchie, he produced your record, I believe so.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, you do. Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about the recording process and, you know, the other musicians who played on it and just that whole experience?
Yeah, for sure. So I did an Indiegogo campaign to crowdfund it, crowdfund the record, and people were incredible, and we raised something like $2,500, which is just incredible. I would never be able to do it without them. I got a mortgage and I think I mentioned, you know, and a little kid with a daycare that costs more than the mortgage. So we were able to go, and we recorded at the Bomb Shelter, which is in East Nashville, Tennessee. It's where the Alabama Shakes did their first record, Hooray for the Riff Raff. Just a bunch of really, really great records were made there. And Reed knew it really well because he had recorded his last record there. And so as you mentioned, there was this wonderful, just incredibly talented blues guitarist, slide guitarist, now from Nashville, originally from the Asheville, North Carolina area, Reed Turchie, and we've been friends for a very long time, longtime friend, infrequent bandmate, I guess. I would sit in and play bass for his band every now and then when other very talented people weren't able to. And he had heard the songs. We had played some shows together, and he really believed in the record, he really believed in the songs, which was very helpful because I was very, very, very anxious about all of it. But so he told me to come on out. You know, I headed out to Nashville, and we recorded the entire record in 2 days.
Wow.
And we had it recorded and mixed in, I want to say, 4 days, because we recorded everything live in the room together, where we had bass, drums, and keys all in a room, and I was just sort of in an isolation booth with my amp closeted, and where we could all see each other, and we did everything live. I mean, we showed up and we had practiced a little bit the day before, but I mean, we basically showed up and we figured out the arrangements just right on the fly, where we might play through the song once or twice and figure out how we wanted to run, and then it was just go time. And then we would never do more than probably, I don't think we did more than 2 or 3 takes for any of the songs. And we recorded 10 full band songs over the course of a day.
Wow.
And what you hear on the record are those takes. And some of them are first takes, I believe. I want to say, I know for sure, Help Me Get Back, the first song on the record, that's the first take after we had figured it out. We sat and played through it once, maybe a second time, and then we said, all right, let's record. And that was it. That was first take on it. And then, we did some overdubs on the second day and, mixed for 2 days. And that's it, man. It was very, it was awesome. I'll say that, because I've recorded it in different ways, and, recording it live and just going for it was, very, very, very refreshing. Because there is no way to hide behind, the production, where it's just like, okay, I feel like this is the best way to really let these songs kind of shine, and just to just give them the energy, kind of that live energy that they deserve. And there's just incredible players. Obviously, Reto, she played bass. Heather Mulder was just an unbelievable keys and piano player. Fantastic. Lost Lester on drums. And then we had this fantastic slide guitarist, also from Nashville, this kind of young Derek Trucks-esque wonderkin named Ben Sparaco,
Okay.
who ended up playing slide guitar on, I want to say, 4 songs on the record. Reed also played slide on, I want to say, two songs, 2 or 3 songs. So I want to say altogether, I want to say there's guitar, like extra overdub guitar in like 8 of the 11 tracks, and those 2 played it on almost all those songs. So just a fantastic group of musicians, where they heard the songs, they heard all the kind of the demos, that we had of them. We showed up, we ran through it, and we just sat down, we gripped it, and we ripped it, man, and I was really, really, really pleased with the results.
And now you're doing some live performances around North Carolina. I think you even got to play with Reed and perhaps a drummer. Is that right?
Yeah, we it would have been, I guess, coming up a little bit over a month ago. It would have been the end of January. Reed, Heather, the keys player, and then a different drummer that was on record, which is an awesome drummer named Lemuel Hayes from Nashville. They headed east, and we went out and we played 2 shows in North Carolina. We played one in Wilson at 217 Brew Works, and we played one at Four Saints Brewing in Asheboro. And they're long-time friends of mine. They did a big beer release for the record, actually called Appalachian Amen, based on the last track on the record.
Wow.
As a beer drinker, that was cool. I thought my dad would have enjoyed that. So that was a whole lot of fun, and it was great to have them where, they showed up and we ran through a few songs, and then we just got up on stage and played for people, and it was great just to feel that continuity, where it's just like we were back in the room playing, which again I think is kind of a testament to playing it live together, where even 7 or 8 months or whatever it ends up being later, after recording, you can just get in a room, and just because you have that, you have that time sitting there just recording together, just straight live, you don't lose that. It was still there, which is really cool.
Yeah. And you've also been playing with a guy named Richard Welsh, like as a duo, is that right? Yeah,
around North Carolina, when I play around, for me it's not just, it's not necessarily like it's a musical preference or anything like that. Like I love the feeling of having a big band behind me, obviously. But I think a lot of the songs, sometimes it's actually really nice to strip it back and be able to really focus on the songs themselves. And there's this fantastic dobro player, slide guitar player from Durham, North Carolina, named Richard Welsh, as you mentioned. And we'd sat in and played together in Wilmington years and years and years ago, maybe 2010 14 or something like that. He was sitting in with a band with a group of my friends from down there that were, just great musicians. And, we ended up reconnecting probably last year and for the last, I'd say probably 5 months or so, when it comes for me to do a show, if I have my say and he's available, he's with me, because he just has an element to a lot of songs that I love, and a musicianship that I don't necessarily always feel like I bring myself. I know I'm hard on myself, but he's a great safety net to have for sure. He definitely makes me feel a lot more comfortable if they're playing the songs. So.
Nice. So the record hasn't come out, right? Like, when's it scheduled to? As of the date of this interview, the record hasn't come out. So when can we expect to hear it?
That's a very good question here. So the record, I've been sitting on it for sure, because I think I mentioned I have the tendency to want to just throw things out there. Like, I'm a very impatient person when it comes to that, and I've been resisting the urge to do that, and I'm still working on finishing up some releases here as far as getting specific singles out. But the record itself will be out, I believe, at the beginning of June. I'm getting married here at the end of April, so I felt like it wasn't a good idea to release it. Thank you. I felt like it probably wasn't the best idea to release it, in April, right before the wedding or right after the wedding. I don't think my fiance would like that very much. I feel like that would take a little bit of deserved attention away from her in this event. So we're going to focus here on, I believe, probably right around the beginning of June is when it should, hopefully, cross our fingers, come out. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for everyone to hear it. Radio stations are starting to get it. The Penguin 98.3 in Wilmington, where I lived for 4 years, and where I really, that's where the Oran Orioles originated, and that's where a lot of this kind of started. They've been fantastic, and they just started playing 2 of the songs off the record, so, which is really cool.
Nice. Do you plan to do any shows, like, to coincide with the release in June?
Yes, that is the hope, and that's what I'm kind of wrapping up here, trying to solidify right now. Because I'd love to be able to get the band back in again for June and July to play more shows. They're very busy people playing in bands of their own, and obviously the drive-in and the 9-hour drive or whatever it ends up being from Nashville gets to be a bit tough. But for sure there will be at least duo shows all through June, with a few of them being some big blowout ones, and there'll be I'll be doing a few shows in Pennsylvania in July as well that will coincide with the official release. Kind of doing the dual release shows both in North Carolina and Pennsylvania. I thought that would be fitting to do it for people up there as well as down here.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly something to look forward to. Anything else that you'd like to talk about or say before we wrap things up?
Man, that's completely up to you. I feel like I've been rambling on here for a long time. I'm not one to talk too much about myself. So if I've been rambling, it's because I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel like Ricky Bobby here. My hands are going up.
Oh no, I think you did a great job, and we look forward to the record once it comes out in June. Once folks can hear it on all the good places. Are you gonna do a release on Bandcamp?
Yeah, for sure. It'll be on Bandcamp. It'll be on SoundCloud, places like that. But it'll also be on Spotify and Amazon and iTunes. Especially on Spotify here. Singles will start coming out here in the next, we'll say, between now and June for sure. as we start to officially kind of ramp up and give some teasers for the record.
Yeah, and obviously Amen's out on YouTube now, so people can check that out. And it sounds like if they can get the Wilmington radio station dialed in, they might even be able to hear some unreleased tracks.
Yeah. The Penguin has been gracious enough that they're starting to play Alone, which is the second to last track on the record. That features Reed Turchi and Ben Spracco in a very interesting guitar duel. And I Do Suppose, which I believe as of right now will be the first single when it's time to release it.
Well, good deal. We're going to sign off for all the folks out there. Once again, look forward to JB Boxter's upcoming record, Shenandoah, coming out in June. Check out Amen, which is available now on YouTube. Adios.